Phase 1 had some surprises when it came to the voter turnout. Phase 2 seems to throw in some hints as well. Let's just look at the voter turnout numbers that have come from different parts. The decision has been made. The votes have been cast. We're going to be focusing particularly on Karnataka and Kerala, but we'll also have glimpses of what's happened in Uttar Pradesh as well as Manipur. But first, let's go across to the 4 constituencies of Bengaluru. We have Bengaluru North, South and Central. All 3 are currently with the BJP. The MPs, the incumbent MPs are from BJP, and Bengaluru Rural is with Congress. Now, this is the backdrop. Before we go into the numbers, let me introduce B.S. Arun at this point, if we haven't. He's a senior journalist and based out of Karnataka. We'll also take him along as we look into numbers, if we can have B.S. Arun with us. Thank you very much, Mr. B.S. Arun. I can also see Mr. Mathew Antony with us as well as Charu Pragya. But Mr. Mathew as well as Charu, if you could just stay with us for a few minutes before we just go through the numbers largely with an overview with Mr. B.S. Arun. All right. So let's just start with Bengaluru North. It has registered a 51.51% voter turnout till 7 as opposed to 54.66% in 2019. B.S. Arun, largely if you look at the numbers that seem to be coming in from Bengaluru, 1, the urban apathy, and 2, the disappointment that Bengaluru keeps on springing up always seems to continue. But what does this largely tell?
Well, we in Bangalore now are, quite tuned to such, low turnouts in the elections. Bangalore city's, urban electorate have been quite disappointing over the years. It's not just, this time or in the last year's assembly elections. It's been happening over the last several decades that the urban voters are turning up, just about half of their numbers, like you're showing on TV, 54%. And this is, 45 to 55% has become the norm in Bangalore. There are a couple of reasons. One is the large migrant population. Perhaps these people have the migrant, the techies and others, even other workers like the construction workers, they may not have registered themselves as voters, or even if they have registered, I think there is a general apathy. They don't come out and vote. That is one. And secondly, even the Kannadigas who live here may not be coming out and vote. And the third point could be, there are many Kannadigas who have come from the districts to Bangalore as, for employment. But they are also voters in their, own native places. And they might be going back to their hometowns to cast vote. So these are some of the reasons I feel.
Right.
And lastly, holding voting on a Friday, on a weekend. So this is another reason.
That's true. We'll just get to that. In fact, the long weekend, but as you know,
Bangalore. But having said
but there are several long weekends in a year. I'm sure people could just sacrifice. Sir, I'll just come back to you. Let me also take you through the other numbers at this point. Bengaluru Central, again, a dismal performance, 51.76% voter turnout seems to be there till 7 p.m. compared to the 54.28% in 2019. Bengaluru South, again, 50.28% compared to 53.47%. And then you, of course, have Bengaluru Rural, which is the only constituency which Congress, has with it at this point. But it has registered a higher voter turnout than 2019 at 65.72. That's only for 7 p.m. In 2019, it was at 64.9. So again, Mr. B.S. Arun, the rural seems to care more. The urban have other things to care for and only to talk about the state of the country's affair, is it?
Well, as the title says, Bangalore Rural, there are a few constituencies which are from outside Bangalore, but there are also a couple of constituencies which are within the city in Bangalore Rural. So obviously the rural voters have come out and vote. But at the same time, I would like to point out that there is good news from outside Bangalore. Karnataka is not just about Bangalore. It's about other districts also. And from other districts, there have been very good voting percentages, above 70% in most of the constituencies. And in a few constituencies, it's above 80%, which has been exceedingly good. And
that's right.
That's what I think
I
that
think
will stand
Mandya
in
has
good
also
stead
done
for
extremely
Karnataka
well.
voters perhaps. But certainly, what is disappointing are the Bangalore voters.
Right, and that again has sprung no surprises at all. But let's also just very quickly look at the Kerala numbers. That's again a critical southern state that has voted in its entirety for that matter. Registered a voter turnout of 65.28%, where all the constituencies went to vote. In 2019, it was 77.67%. So even if you look at the fact that this is for the 7 p.m. numbers, it's very unlikely to match the 2019 numbers. And in 2014, it was 74%. So if you see, there's quite a bit of a decline for Kerala. If you look at the 7 p.m. numbers, if you do look at possibly an hour or an hour and a half more of voting that may have happened in some places, you may look at a stretch of another 4% addition at the max. So in all likelihood, this does seem to be a drop from what otherwise has been the trend in Kerala. Trivandrum, which has been a high-profile constituency, saw a voter turnout of 63.86% compared to 68.63%. Again, a drop. When you compare it to 2019, 54.8 voter turnout in 8 constituencies of Uttar Pradesh, it seems to have been literally the lowest turnout. BS, I don't know, a very quick remark from you on how do you look at Kerala as well? It seems to be a dip. 2019 was remarkable. In fact, Kerala has a very good record of a voter turnout. In its 60s, it's really not something to be very happy about for a state like Kerala, which has seen even its highest in the heydays to even touching soaring beyond 80% for that matter.
Well, again, quite disappointing coming from our most literate state. Obviously, the educated ones have not come out and turned up for voting in a big way. Everybody was looking at it, and I saw some photographs yesterday that people, especially from Gulf, who were staying there, they came over to Kerala for voting. When such is the situation, I wonder why people, staying in their own native places or in the cities, who are Indian nationals, they don't come and vote. This is one very disappointing,
right.
Aspect of the Indian electorate. Whatever, the rights you have must be exercised. And day in and day out, we crib about the facilities or the lack of facilities that we get. But then we don't come out and vote, exercise our the duty that we have to.
That's absolutely. And in Kerala, it's very hard to believe that these numbers
towards our country that we are not doing
could really spring up in this ways. That's true. Let me just get in Mathew Antony and Charu Pragya as well. Yes, Mathew, it's of course a huge battle for the Congress, whether it be in Kerala, where it's already a prestige battle. 2019 was a huge mandate for the Congress-led UPA in Kerala. The way the numbers seem to be going, the voter percentage seems to be going this way. It might not really match up to that. But looking at Karnataka and Kerala, two very important dominant places that Congress may look at pulling it up. The opposition, the India bloc, of course, the left and the Congress are completely the principal opposition parties in Kerala. But largely, if the India bloc is going to be looking at any inroads, it's going to be Kerala and Karnataka.
Good evening, Sneha, and good evening to other panelists as well as to the viewers. One thing which I can surely say with a lot of confidence is that we are winning hands down in Kerala and Karnataka in this election, because the manifesto which we have delivered is a revolutionary manifesto which addresses the failure of the government towards the people. So the unemployment issue is addressed, the price rise issue is addressed, the social inequality inequality is addressed. And that's exactly the problem of the people, because this is a people's manifesto. These are the voices from the people. That exactly gives the confidence that we are winning this hands down in Kerala as well as in Karnataka. However, as a democracy, for any political party, the numbers which are not coming up for the elections is a concern. Yeah. Yes, Sneha?
No, that's exactly my question. I mean, do you have do you have an analysis of what may be happening with the numbers at the level that they are? Very disappointing numbers, if you may, at least for the 7 p.m. references. Considering there were even these vote vimanams that were flying from the Middle East and other countries as well, with expats coming in for voting, with organizations flying them in or helping them return for casting their votes, but pretty dismal.
See, the vote numbers, we have not done an analysis because it's too early to do an analysis. However, as a citizen as well as a party person, it is difficult to see the vote percentage going down. There can be predominantly one reason for this. The people losing the trust and the faith in the electoral system can be a larger concern for not only in Kerala, across the country we are witnessing a fall in the percentage of voting. So that can be a cause of concern across, but however we have not done an analysis at this point of time. And as a democracy, it is important for all of us to have an increased vote percentage for the people to participate in democracy so that their voice and their representation is being met.
Right. Okay, Charu Pragya, if you could come in. You know, Charu, you would have been really hoping.
Am I audible?
I mean, Karnataka seems to have always voted. Yes, you are, Antony. I'm just going across to Charu Pragya at this point. Karnataka has always favored BJP largely over the last few years, over a decade or so, when it comes to the Lok Sabha elections. So you may just be looking at that for a repeat. There doesn't seem any surprises in the voter turnout percentage that may just show any other trend, at least at this stage. We don't know how it may emerge eventually. But Kerala may seem to be a big struggle with what seems to be a decline in the vote percentage, quite frankly.
Good evening. I think mostly we need to first remember that Bharatiya Janata Party is a cadre-based party. We are a party which works very hard for every single elections to ensure that the voter lists are taken care of. We have a system of Panna Pramukh, and we and our cadre are going to ensure that maximum number of votes are given. That being said, at this point of time, I believe that everybody who is making the effort to go out and vote is voting for Vision 2047 that Modi ji has given us. Everybody is voting for the report card of Bharatiya Janata Party that we have been asking for votes with. We are talking numbers here. We are talking concrete facts here. We are talking about a country which is changing right in front of our eyes, and the next generation can see that happening. The first time voters are siding with Prime Minister Modi. So at the offset, I believe that whatever is the voter turnout, more than 50% of it is going to be in favor of Bharatiya Janata Party. Now, that being said, at a point like this, globally and even nationally, the trends when the voting percentage drop seem to suggest that everybody is happy with the incumbent. There is no anti-incumbency. The present government is doing a fine job. People are happy with their lives, satisfied, and I can take examples. Nehru won his second term in 57 with a lower vote share than the previous elections. The same thing happened with Indira Gandhi ji.
That when the vote shares do decrease, when the vote shares do decrease, particularly in the Hindi heartland, like we are seeing in Uttar Pradesh, and this is just an analysis that I've been coming across, there's been advantages to Congress if you look at over the past 20 years. So there are analysis on that lines as well, but it may be a bit too early because the numbers have just come in, the details of that has done. But very quickly before I wrap up, Mathew Anthony, Charu brought in a point, and that's something that the left and the BJP often speak about.
In 10 seconds.
And that's just a minute, Charu, just a minute. Just 30 seconds to Antony. About Charu saying that, listen, the BJP is a cadre-based party, and the left also says that. So in Kerala, particularly in that picture, or in Karnataka, if the voter percentage is declining, in Kerala as it is, cadres are likely to go and vote. Is that how you also look at it?
India was shining in 2004 and for BJP, and we formed the government. So June 4th, 2024, you will have the answer for that one. We will form the government. And we will have the MPs from Kerala as well as from Karnataka.
All right.
The people have realized that the Prime Minister is a habitual liar. 15 lakhs to the petrol prices, to the LPG prices, to the dollar prices, to everything. There is absolute lie and blatant lies with no conscience and with no intellectual integrity. The man has been lying to the people of India, and people of India have realized that lies which they have been gone on. So the people will reply through the ballot, and that's what we are going to see on June 4th, 2024.
Right. I think at this stage, this was the best that we could do with the numbers. B.S. Arun, thank you very much for joining us, for giving us those insights into the numbers, into Bengaluru particularly.